size in case somebody walks in and says it started early. We good, Susan? Good evening and welcome to the CCOG meeting, or Calaveras Council of Governments meeting for March 6, 2019. Will you please rise if you can for the pledge? Mr. Domes, can you please lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, consent agenda items. Consent agenda items are expected to be routine and non-controversial and will be acted upon by the council at one time without discussion. Any council member, staff member, or interested parties may request that an item be removed from the consent agenda for further discussion. Does any council member wish to pull an item? Any staff member? Any member of the public? Seeing none, I'm open for a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
I have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0 with one absent. Moving on to the regular, we'll move on to the regular agenda. We have public comment, item number 3. 5 minutes per person. Comments shall be limited to items that are within the subject matter and jurisdiction of the council and not on the posted agenda. Government Code Section 54954.3A. Is there any public comments this evening? Seeing none, we'll close public comments. Move on to item number 4. Item number 4 is a minute order approving the fiscal year 2019-2020 draft operations budget.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The attached budget is on page 12 of the packet. This shows a breakdown of expenditures by line item. This budget reflects a slight increase, and also attached, starting on page 13, is the budget narrative that details all of the expenditures by line item. If there's any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
Are there any council questions? Supervisor Mills, your line is on.
Oh, my apologies. Staff has answered my questions in advance.
No? No questions? Any public comments or questions on this item? Seeing none, I'm open for a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion. I have a second.
Second.
I have a second. Any other discussion? If not, call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0-1. Moving on to item number 5. This is resolution for fiscal year 2019-2018. Approving fiscal year 2019-2020 draft overall work program, the OWP, and planning program and monitoring expenditure plan.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The 1920 draft overall work program is a one-year work plan and budget. The approved OWP and approved overall work program agreement is between the CCOG and Caltrans. It's due to Caltrans March 1st. I've attached in the packet of the OWP, if you look on page 35, this is the spreadsheet. Most of these work elements are standard work elements that we would all be familiar with. The 3 new work elements are number 7, which we will begin working on the regional transportation plan update. We'll start that in the spring of 2020. Work element number 15 is the extreme weather preparedness plan, and COG will be coordinating with the Amador County Transportation Commission on this work element. And then work element 17, this is a regional transportation impact mitigation study, and we'll be working with the city and county on that project. If anyone has any questions, I'd be happy to answer. This OWP, like I said, is due to Caltrans, and it also includes the operations budget that we just approved are in these work elements.
Any council member questions? Seeing none, any public comments or questions? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council. I'm looking for a motion.
So moved.
A motion, I have a second.
Second.
And I have a second. Any further conversations, questions? None, I call for the vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 601. Moving on to item number 6. This is a minute order approving the award of a professional service agreement with Green DOT Transportation Solutions for the San Andreas Pope Street Class 1 Facility and Safe Routes Gap Fill Plan. Amber, this is your
Yes, thank you,
Item.
Chair. This project was funded through a Caltrans Sustainable Transportation Planning Grant through Senate Bill 1, the gas tax that was passed in 2017. This project came about because it's been a long-standing need that we've identified in our regional transportation planning documents, including the regional bike ped plan. So it's been a need for several years of this community, and the focus is to complete safe gaps to connect the San Andreas Elementary School to Mountain Ranch Road and then also to Main Street. So really the focus is along Pope Street, Lewis Avenue up to the elementary school, and then down Main Street. So looking at the feasibility and concept alternatives for bike ped facilities along those corridors to the elementary school. So this is a planning project and kind of the first step in development of an infrastructure project and to seek funding and program funding for this project. This plan is expected to be completed by June 2020. We received 2 proposals and we had a review committee consisting of county planning and public works staff, COG staff, and Caltrans staff. And we unanimously supported Green Dot as the main consultant, who is based out of Chico. They're a full-service transportation planning firm, and they're subbing with GHD, who's an engineering firm, and they'll focus on the concept designs for this project. Happy to answer any questions.
I've read this item, obviously, because it's in the district I represent, and 15 months, especially not 15 months, I kind of cringed at first. I thought we'd be able to get it done in 12 months. I see the first public outreach is in May, which is relatively quick, and then pull back and take that information, and then I think we go again in July for another public outreach. And so after that, there's only 2 public outreaches that I saw. It then goes all the way till June of the next year of going through, taking those concepts and planning it. That was part of the outreach when we went out for bid on this project, that those were the perimeters that we were going to go by 15 months.
Actually, I think February is our actual end date, but June is what I put in the contract as, the end of the actual contract, so for full completion of the work. So our goal is really February to have this completed.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. That's all the questions I had, or comments that I have. Any other council comments or questions? Any public comments or questions on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back to the council for a motion.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
We have a second. Thank you. Any other further comments or questions? Not? Call for a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 601. Moving on to item number 7. This is a minute order approving the award of professional service agreement with NCE for the pavement management systems updates. I see Public Works Director for the county's out there. Hi, Josh. Amber, this is your item.
Yes, thank you, Chair. The purpose of this project is to develop a comprehensive update for the pavement management systems for both jurisdictions, so for the city and county. This work will include condition surveys of the roadways in both jurisdictions, pavement management software upgrades, which will include setup and training for probably city and county staff, a multi-year work plan, as well as funding analysis and scenario development. And the city and county needs are different for some of these tasks. So as we work through with city and county staff, they'll the city might require additional assistance, such as in the funding needs and analysis and scenarios. They'll have the consultant do all of that work and come do presentations to their boards. County staff will take, I think, management of a lot of that work and do their own presentation to the Board of Supervisors. So it's just really up to each jurisdiction on what their specific needs are. The importance of pavement management systems, as I'm sure the board's fully aware, is it really helps jurisdictions make informed, cost-effective decisions that are defensible and data-driven, and helps inform your investment in rehab and improvement projects, and helps your staff develop those work plans throughout a several-year period. It's also important for funding, obviously more now than ever. Senate Bill 1 requires reporting on pavement conditions for jurisdictions, so it's becoming a requirement, and it helps with prioritizing and programming their investments. And then as many jurisdictions are experiencing, it's really important in the disaster recovery from winter storms and fires. So the past efforts throughout our county have been somewhat piecemeal. The COG has assisted throughout the years with some data collection efforts for the county and some updates to their system, but really for both the city and county, they have different pavement management systems, and that haven't really been fully utilized or accessed. So this is really going to be the first comprehensive regional update for both jurisdictions, and we're really excited about that. We have both jurisdictions fully at the table, and our goal here to keep it, the COG managing the process, is to maintain both jurisdictions' interest in this process, as well as protect our investment in the future. That way it doesn't get lost. So the COG will, the goal is the COG will maintain the license for the software, but both the city and county will have ownership of their programs for their roads. So we first programmed funding for this as the need was identified in our 16-17 OWP, and then subsequently we added funding towards it in the 17-18 OWP, and have been working with city and county staff to really identify what their needs and scope of this is. And I want to thank Josh Pack, the new Public Works Director this year. Public Works really took the ball and ran with it this year. We sat at the table with the city and identified what the real needs were, and Public Works developed the scope of work. They released the RFP, and so I'm really thankful for that work. And the Technical Advisory Committee will serve as advisory committee for this process. And then again, like I said, the city and county will manage kind of their tasks throughout this process. So we received 3 proposals. The committee selected unanimously NCE. They are a nationally recognized pavement specialty firm. They did the statewide needs assessment for the California League of Cities. So they're really well known and have expertise in this area, and I think Josh has experience working with them, and myself as well. Actually went through a course led by NCE, so they have quite a bit of experience in this area. So the cost of the contract will be $150,000. This doesn't include the software. So the COG, in working with the city and county, will try to purchase the software through the COG and then allow the city and county to have their own pavement management systems through that one license.
What's the cost of the software?
We've estimated about $7,000.
$7,000? Yeah.
Yeah. And then there's annual maintenance fees. Yeah. And with that, happy to answer questions.
Well, Josh, do you have anything to comment on this? Anything you want to add? Or?
Sure. Good evening, Chair Tofinelli and members of the COG board. My name is Joshua Pack. I'm the Director of Public Works for Calaveras County. A couple of things I do want to highlight. It has been a collaborative effort between both the county and city. We've worked together to get feedback. This contract has been well drafted and vetted through both agencies as well as with the COG. A couple of things really quick about NCE. You are right, they do the local streets and roads needs assessment for both the league and the CSAC. It's a biannual project, so the project manager for that project is the project manager on this project. So there's some continuity, there's a wealth of experience. And I've worked with them before on other pavement repair and similar projects. They've done a really good job for us. The software, I think I do want to reiterate the desire of the county to have that reside within COG. It is a web-based platform, so that's a great thing. It doesn't mean it means we don't have to load software on each individual computer. We don't have to pay individual licensing fees. It's a flat fee each year. It's a software I've used in 3 previous jurisdictions. The software we're selecting is used by more than 50% of all jurisdictions in the state, so it's not going anywhere. It's not a fly-by-night company that's going to be gone today or tomorrow. And I think the thing I want to highlight most, and my respective board members on the Calaveras Board of Supervisors know very well, the need to have a thoughtful and articulate and intelligent plan for long-term pavement maintenance is critical, and it's something the county does not have right now. We had many years ago. For one reason or another, we no longer have that. And in order to invest, especially Senate Bill 1 funds down the road, in order to establish accountability with the board and with the public, it needs to be spent wisely, and this is the most critical step at doing that. So the county wholeheartedly supports this resolution, and I'm available to answer any questions you may have subsequent. Thank you.
With that, any council questions?
One question just on the equipment purchase. It seemed like the item had a threshold of $5,000 for equipment, which to me, on this kind of system, it might be like a GS recorder or a Trimble recorder to locate where you're at on the GIS map as you're doing your pavement management index. And it appeared that the way the wording is done on page 144, if there's any interest by the Public Works or the city to pick up that equipment, I didn't see an opportunity for them to actually get it after the NCE has already used it to map our setup. I would assume that then it's probably good equipment for our area. I just was curious if there's any interest in Public Works or in your discussions with the city to get the equipment if they do purchase equipment for this project.
Yeah, it's a great question. So what I see, and like I said, I've used this software for the past, probably the last 15 years. The need for Trimble and other equipment, while there's an initial effort, what I need as far as equipment ongoing is iPads and field devices that we can actually input data directly. So once the use of this is that one-time use is done, it's unlikely, but we have a pretty good working relationship with the COG. If they're acquiring equipment as part of this, I'm sure they wouldn't oppose, and we could formalize that through a use agreement or something similar if that's need be. But I don't see the long-term need for frequently using this. As I mentioned, the county's plan is to have my inspectors go out and collect the data each year through pavement inspections during the fall and winter, input that through a mobile device, tablet, or mobile laptop, and then because it is an online software that automatically updates the system. So I think with our existing equipment, we're going to be okay. But yeah, as I said, if there is a need, either an informal handshake or we can have a formalized MOU or something like that to facilitate the need of that equipment.
Any other questions? Public comments? Are there any public comments or questions on this item? Seeing none, I'll bring it back. Any other questions, comments, council? If not, I'll ask for a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Second. I have a second. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes 6-0, one absent. Moving on to item number 8, Caltrans report, the verbal report. No supplemental materials included. But they're being handed out. Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, council members. I'm Dan McElhay. I'm your acting District 10 Director for Caltrans here for Calaveras County, and it's a real honor to come by and say hello and take a few minutes, and then Gregorio will go into some details on the regular reporting. So I'm Dan McElhay. I've been with the Department of Transportation, Caltrans, for 31 years in January. Last 15 years in the Bay Area, working maintenance operations and project delivery, and delivering the Great Bay Bridge project and completing that, and the Collicott Tunnel in Alameda County, as well as working with a lot of rural highway issues in Marin, Sonoma, Solano County, Napa County. So Amber Collins and I, we're very lucky to have Amber as your executive director. We met with our team recently and went through a number of the issues here in the county, so I'm really getting to know what our issues are. Our maintenance staff really works nearly 24/7 on our behalf and for you here in Calaveras County. We've got 3 maintenance stations, if I may highlight, West Point, Altaville, and Camp Connell. And we have a satellite station at Cabbage Pass. And we have just about 40 employees, about 17 that are permanent intermittent for winter operations. Full-time group supporting the county, but we also have about 300 employees up and down the mountain range and in the valley to provide additional support. As you know, Route 4, 12, 26, 49, and 207 are keeping us busy. There's a lot of snow removal operations this year. That's good and bad in a lot of ways. But our team is doing our best to stay ahead, and I'm very proud of them, and I just wanted to highlight their work. Route 4, as you know, on the east end has been closed since late November. We anticipate that opening in early April, weather permitting. We've had up to 27 feet of snow in certain areas. So we're not breaking all the records, but we're getting really, really close. We've had a couple of closures, one here in the county on Route 26, not too far from the county line, and also in Amador County on 26. I've signed director's orders. We have the opportunity to use emergency contracts. The one here in the county was $2.5 million, and we're putting in a retaining wall and hoping to have at least one lane open next week and have the work done by spring. And then Amador County, that we expect that to be a one-lane closure here over the next month as we repair an embankment. Overall, the emergency contracts have been a lot less than I expected, but we do have that tool to help all of us and get the contractor out there as fast as we can. Ford Construction is working both those sites for us. Meanwhile, in 2018, I want to highlight some good things that we've all jointly worked together on to complete. We had a new traffic signal on 26 in Vista del Lago at the intersection in Valley Springs. The replacement of an ineffective drainage system. We do a lot of drainage work here in the county with SB1 funds. We're really funded moving forward over the next 10 years to fix it first, whether it's bridges or culverts or traffic control systems and pavement. So I was talking to Amber about our asset management plan and being able to shift funds between our 8 counties in the districts to really hit the priorities. So we'll be working together to make sure we understand all the priorities here in Calaveras County. And at the district level in our office in Stockton, we'll be able to make those decisions and work with the California Transportation Commission to deliver. We've done a number of asphalt overlays you may have noticed, whether it's on Route 4, Route 49, and various areas. So we're going to be doing a lot of paving over the next few years, and we really appreciate everybody's patience. We're going to do a better job on making sure that working with all of you and working with the public that we're getting the message out and really minimizing the amount of delays on all those projects. The Big Trees Wall project, I'll be in Los Angeles next week representing the project on Calaveras Route 4. Big Trees, near the Big Trees Park entrance, you know, we've been constructing a wall. We went 2 seasons. We had groundwater, which created a lot of issues of dewatering, as well as some environmental monitoring additional. I'll be asking for $1.3 million additional to wrap up that job. So far, I've gotten good indication from the CTC that they'll approve that. So I was telling Amber, I thought it was neat. I'm going to be down in Los Angeles representing the county. That's a very important project that we want to button up. We've got about anywhere from 45 to 60 working days once the snow melts and we're back out finishing that job on Route 4. Meanwhile, if you have any major issues that you want to highlight, whether it's traffic or maintenance related, we've got a number of traffic studies going on. Angels Camp regarding roundabouts. That study is underway for the intersections there at looks like it's Route 449 and 49 Francis Street. There's a study that looks like we'll need about $10 million in funding for those important intersections, and we're working together to look at the opportunities for roundabout. And then also on Route 4 in Murphy, there's opportunities for improving traffic operations. So that study, those two studies should be complete this calendar year and move us into, defining the environmental phase and the design phase and moving towards constructions in the near term. So I've been very impressed with the teamwork with CalCog, as well as what our planning staff and our design staff, maintenance, traffic operations staff. But I've also been pushing them to be results-oriented and really deliver focus on safety, partnership, and results. So I don't know if you have any questions for me before I ask Gregoria to go through a few more details.
Any questions by the council?
Certainly would. Mr. McConaughey, I appreciate you taking the time to come up here and actually go face-to-face with us, and appreciate your willingness to represent the county in those areas that are critical to the safety and the commerce of our communities.
Thank you.
I do have a question while you're here. And thank you for coming. Again, I echo the same sentiments as Supervisor Mills. And you asked, and I will give you a project, if you could put it on a list somewhere for us. It's been an ongoing problem and has held up a number of projects in San Andreas for a number of years. And you've paved, Caltrans has paved coming into all directions into San Andreas on Highway 49 and 12 and leaving. And they have a crown problem on St. Charles Street, which is 49 through town here, that they continue to ignore or not address by paving all around us and not fixing that crown. There's a number of projects associated with that as far as putting underlying overhead lines underground and lighting and a whole host of projects waiting for this Caltrans to fix this problem. So if you could somehow help us get that accomplished by Caltrans, whether they grind it down, or they dig it up, take it out, haul it out, repave it, whatever they need to do, it needs to be addressed. And you would be a hero to a lot of people in San Andreas if you could get that done. And I would be one that would hold you up as a hero to my constituents.
Thank you, Chair. Well, we'll definitely look at it.
Okay.
And we have a lot of experience with pavement, and sometimes on older roadways, there are some challenges with drainage and cross slope, and so I'll personally look at it. And then I've got a great maintenance engineering team that I've been keeping them busy since mid-December, and but I really appreciate all their extra work. So we'll report back on that at your next meeting.
All right. Thank you.
And I did want to mention, Amber and I also will be working with the California Transportation Commission for wagon trail on Route 4. I guess everybody's familiar with the wagon trail on Route 4. Long ago, far away, I used to work in Eureka, Redding, and Marysville in those offices. And so I'm very familiar with the old trails on the highways going east for California. So that's a high priority for us, and we're going to be working closely with CTC. I was able to talk to CTC staff and commissioner this week about it, and when I'm in LA, I'll be sure to continue to talk on the sidelines and before I present our important Big Trees project. So with that, don't hesitate to, you have my card, you have a little pamphlet on District 10 here from Stockton, Modesto, Merced, and all the mountain regions. It's got our information, our executive team, and we're here to support and to serve, so don't hesitate to reach out to us.
Thank you very much.
If I may introduce Gregoria with some highlights from our transportation planning group.
Good evening, Gregoria Ponce. Just wanted to call out a few items. So we appreciate CalCog proceedings on the motion of approving fiscal year 1920 draft overall work plan, planning, programming, and monitoring expenditure plan as part of its participation in regional transportation planning. And we look forward to supporting the continuance of current and future OWP work elements. We also support CalCog on its continued efforts for the Strand and Diaz Pope Street Class 1 facility and Safe Routes Gaps Field Plan, which is under an existing Caltrans work element under the same name, under a grant within, again, the existing OWP. And also support and appreciate CalCog on its efforts on the pavement management systems update plan. We look forward to seeing that move forward. We've seen that last 2 fiscal years, so we look forward to getting those items. Dan has already covered on the emergency items, but the one item I do have is Caltrans, as part of reaching out into the communities and doing additional partnering, is having a small business boot camp, and it's planned on March 8th, and I just wanted to hand these out. And we've posted it, we have it on our media, and it's just to partner with our neighbors. We know there's a lot that goes on in rural counties, so we wanted to do outreach and provide some education and information to those who would like to reach out and do business with Caltrans as part of small business. Let's see. We did already have a small business council meeting on February 15th, and we'll be having those monthly, and as the schedule comes out, we'll be sending that out and making that information also available. And with that, I don't have any other items. Does anyone have any questions for me?
Any questions?
Comment?
Yes.
Your people did a superior job in these storms. And I know they had breakdowns and they had major challenges, but they did an excellent job.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll definitely take that back, Tim.
And then I've gotten multiple compliments of your response to online. A lot of people have been using the online system to report issues around, and they've said that it's really been a great tool to use. So I'm glad to hear that's working and that's been able to bridge the communication from the public to you guys. So.
We're also very thankful for that. So thank you for supporting that. I appreciate that.
One other question?
Yes.
The change in the speed limits in San Andreas, you guys readjusted almost immediately, pushing them back a little bit further and slower as they come into town, and it's worked out really, really well. A little while back, we had mentioned the same issue on Highway 12 down by Burson, where they'd moved the 45 limit around Burson Road and Highway 12 closer together, so that 145 limits between the parking lot entrance and exit of the church there. And if you're going by El Torero Restaurant, it's actually a 45-mile-an-hour zone now, and it used to be a 35 zone. And we had talked, I think, at one point about stretching that 35 back out to the other side of El Torero, so that as you're coming into that whole little strip on the highway, it would be a little safer for those folks who are eating and getting in and out of that, as well as the little businesses across the street from there.
Thanks for bringing that up.
And that's Highway 12, Burson?
Highway 12, Burson.
Okay.
Yeah, that Burson sign is back. Years ago, it was, the 45 is where it is located now. But there was a horrific accident in front of the restaurant there. So it killed 3 people. So this was probably about 20 years ago. They moved the signs back. Before that restaurant, if you're coming from this direction headed west, there's actually right where there's a rock and soil place there right now. It was on the other side of that because of that accident. But a couple years ago, it was moved forward again back to where it was 20 years ago before that accident. And it is a problem because, as Councilmember Nomes pointed out, if you go down that way, they placed the 45 sign to slow down to 45 from 55. There's a church on the south side of the highway there with two driveways. And one driveway, it's 55 miles an hour to turn into, and then you go down the rest of the property and it's 45 on the other side. So you split their property for their driveways with the 45 mile an hour sign. So we really appreciate it if we could get that moved back to the side of that rock and soil plant. And then further down past the nursery, remain 45 down past the nursery on the other side of Burson Road. And I'm sure the signs were placed because of a study. I understand you're currently doing a study or had in place a study in the Wallace, down by Wallace, in moving that 45 mile an hour zone up to 50. I don't know where you are on that at this time, but I was made aware of it. I haven't heard any public comments on it. I sent some emails out to constituents down in that area to get any feedback, but I haven't heard any feedback on it. But I am aware that there is a study going on, or has recently a study completed, and it indicated that the 85th percentile to move it up to 50 miles an hour. If at all possible, to keep it at 45, it would be great, because I think we're slated to finish our general plan here shortly, and a lot of that area is rezoned down there to retail from industrial, and it's to spur some growth there in that area for that subdivision down there and what's going on in the Wallace area down that end of the county. So eventually there should be some retail in there, so that would indicate the slowing down through that area.
I'll look into both of those and pull the speed studies. If it's already completed for the other one that's been completed, I'll take that back to our ops and look at the speeds.
Thank you. Any other council?
Yeah. Trying to be good today. I would like to compliment Caltrans for the amount of work that you're doing in grinding and smoothing off roadways last year. It was amazing, the difference, especially on approaches to bridges and where there was constant issues with it. I know that it does affect the roadway surface over time to be constantly in these rolling situations. So where you're putting the grinding in, it's really doing a phenomenal job and helping with smooth out the roads. The one that I would like to bring up is something that just happened yesterday on the corner of Highway 4 at Paris Ferry. I don't know what your accident rates are. I could go to Murphy's Fire or CHP and get those rates for that location. But I would like to look at a possibility of getting some lighting up there like we do at Vallecito Road on the bypass, where we just put up the lights. That was a spectacular change in how people respond in that area, and I think that if we could do the same thing at Parrots Ferry, and that's the route to Sonora, as you know, I think it would change the dynamic there a little bit as well. So just to take a look at it and see if it's possible.
And that's Paris Ferry.
Parrots Ferry at Highway 4.
Okay.
Is that it? Any public questions or comments? If not, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Both. Thank you. Moving on to item number 9, council reports.
I have nothing to report.
Okay.
Last night, our city council meeting, we approved the contract for Drake Halligan, make sure I said it right, to become the city engineering. And then we also went over our the plan for the Angels Creek Trail on Old Highway 4, Vallecito Road, and then crossing into that area. And we talked about the collaboration we're going to have with Caltrans in that intersection with the bridge, and how to get the pedestrians across there and down to Finnegan. So this spring, they will start the first series of meetings with stakeholders for that first section, and then because that's what has been funded, And from there, we should start looking for some progress into 2020 on that. So one step at a time, but we're excited to see that that conversation happening. We also talked about Murphy's Grade, and there will be the sidewalks around Murphy's Grade to help with the high school, with the kids walking up and down the highway. We also swore in 2 officers, our canine and Robert Moncada, and so that was very exciting. And I think that was, that it was a very busy council meeting last night. A lot happening. So yeah.
Any other reports?
I'll just sit down. Amanda said most of what went on, and I'm just kind of learning here too, since I'm all new to this. And I talked to you earlier today. I'm excited about the sidewalks and sprucing it up and cleaning it up and giving new ways to get around town. And I didn't realize they were fully funded through all these different aspects. So as a learning curve for me, it was kind of neat to see and learn last night. So that's all I got. It was a fun and interesting night. So.
The only other thing I'd say, we've had some nice comments about San Andreas this evening. San Andreas is doing the Raging Cajun Festival this weekend that benefits the Calaveras and Amador hospices. So if Saturday's a good day and you want to come down to San Andreas, that's going on this weekend, on Saturday.
San Andreas Rotary Club.
Yeah.
Putting that up. Yes. That's it. That's it. All right, moving on to item number 10, staff reports. Amber.
As usual, I've provided a pretty comprehensive update of all the status of all of our planning projects, and I just wanted to highlight one thing. We just submitted an Infrastructure for Rebuilding America Infra grant for the Wagon Trail project for construction to complete the western phase. I do appreciate Dan's partnership here in Gregoria in terms of trying to help us move that project forward. But we just can't miss any opportunity to leverage our state and regional dollars. So we always are looking for any opportunity that this project fits well under, and infra was one of them. So, and thank you, Supervisor Mills, for all your support and work on the support letters with our representatives.
That's it?
That's it.
That was a short report. All right. Moving on, item number 11, adjournment. We will stand adjourned until 6:30 when we will pick up again as a transit authority. And I may cheat a little bit on that. I have to have a discussion with our council if I'm able to move that time.
I tried.
I think we need to update these clocks. Slow.
Here's your extra stamp. I'm going to take them back to you.
Thanks for coming out.